In January 2023, Benjamin Foster's terrifying crimes rocked Grants Pass, Oregon. With multiple rapes and kidnappings, his case ignited a massive manhunt and captured national headlines. If you're intrigued by this case and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you the latest and most compelling true crime stories. Thanks for watching. Benjamin Foster was 36 years old at the time of his arrest. Born and raised in Grants Pass, Oregon, Foster lived in the area throughout his life. Known for his unremarkable job history, he worked various low-profile positions but remained largely unnoticed by the public until his criminal actions brought him into the spotlight. Before the shocking events of January 2023, Foster had a history of minor run-ins with the law, but nothing that foreshadowed the severity of his later crimes. His criminal record included several misdemeanor offenses, such as petty theft and minor assaults, but these were largely considered isolated incidents. It wasn't until the series of violent and disturbing crimes came to light that the true extent of his dangerous tendencies was revealed. Foster's personal background seemed ordinary at first glance, with no significant indications of the violent behavior he would later exhibit. His arrest marked a dramatic shift in his life story, transforming him from a local resident into a figure of intense scrutiny and fear. The previously minor offenses now took on a grim context, adding a layer of complexity to the understanding of his criminal behavior. Benjamin Foster's crimes were marked by a disturbing pattern of violence and intimidation. Over a span of several months, Foster systematically targeted women in Grants Pass, Oregon. His approach was methodical and premeditated, focusing on individuals he perceived as vulnerable. Foster's modus operandi involved using threats and physical violence to overpower his victims. He would often approach women in isolated or less secure areas, such as parking lots or quiet streets. Once he had identified a target, Foster used a combination of force and coercion to control the situation. He was known for restraining his victims, either by binding them or threatening them with weapons to ensure compliance. The crimes he committed included both rape and kidnapping. Foster's attacks were not random. He sought to inflict maximum fear and control over his victims. His method of restraint and intimidation was designed to prevent any form of resistance or escape, leaving his victims in a state of prolonged terror. Victims reported experiencing extreme fear and helplessness during their ordeals. They described Foster as being aggressive and domineering, making it clear that resistance would be met with severe consequences. The psychological impact of these crimes was profound, with many victims struggling with lasting trauma and emotional distress. Foster's calculated approach and the suffering he inflicted highlight the severity of his crimes. The detailed accounts from survivors paint a grim picture of his actions and the deep impact on those he targeted. When Benjamin Foster's crimes came to light, the police response was swift and comprehensive. Local law enforcement in Grants Pass initiated a detailed investigation almost immediately after the first reports of assault and kidnapping surfaced. Their focus was on gathering evidence and establishing a timeline of Foster's activities. Investigators collected various types of evidence from crime scenes, including physical items left behind by Foster and forensic samples. This evidence was crucial in identifying patterns and linking the incidents to a single perpetrator. Victim statements were thoroughly examined to reconstruct the events and gather any potential clues about Foster's whereabouts and methods. As the investigation progressed, the case quickly escalated into a larger operation. The authorities issued public alerts and worked with local media to spread information about Foster's appearance and criminal behavior. Despite these efforts, Foster managed to evade capture, leading to a widespread manhunt. The scale of the manhunt was extensive, involving multiple agencies at different levels. Local police worked closely with state law enforcement to coordinate search efforts and share information. The involvement of federal agencies, such as the FBI, added significant resources and expertise to the operation. This multi-agency collaboration was essential in tracking down a suspect who had demonstrated a capacity for evasion. The manhunt included ground searches, surveillance operations, and community outreach. Authorities followed numerous leads, some of which led to dead ends, while others provided critical information that gradually narrowed down Foster's location. The combined efforts of local, state, and federal agencies ultimately led to Foster's capture, bringing an end to the extensive search and providing some measure of relief to the community and the victims. The circumstances leading to Benjamin Foster's capture were the result of an intense and prolonged manhunt. After weeks of searching, law enforcement received a crucial tip from a member of the public who had spotted Foster in a remote area near the outskirts of Grants Pass. This lead prompted a targeted operation by both local and federal authorities. On January 24, 2023, a coordinated effort led by the Grants Pass Police Department, Oregon State Police, and the FBI resulted in Foster's arrest. Law enforcement officials located him in a densely wooded area, which had been a focus of previous searches. The arrest took place without incident. Foster was taken into custody after a brief standoff where he surrendered upon realizing the situation was contained. The arrest was met with relief and satisfaction by both law enforcement and the community. For the authorities, it marked the successful conclusion of a high-stakes investigation that required significant resources and coordination. Law enforcement officials praised the public's assistance and the collaborative efforts that led to Foster's apprehension. The community's reaction was a mix of relief and anxiety. Residents were grateful for the swift resolution of the case, but also deeply affected by the trauma caused by Foster's actions. The capture brought a sense of closure to many, though the emotional and psychological impact of the crimes continued to resonate within the community. The arrest underscored the importance of effective law enforcement and community vigilance in addressing and resolving such serious criminal cases. Benjamin Foster faces multiple serious charges stemming from his crimes. He has been formally charged with several counts of rape, kidnapping, and assault. These charges reflect the gravity of his offenses and the impact they had on his victims. The legal system has classified these crimes as felonies, which carry significant penalties. The trial process for Foster began following his arrest, with the legal proceedings closely monitored by the media and the public. At his arraignment, Foster entered a plea of not guilty to all charges. The trial has involved a thorough examination of the evidence presented by both the prosecution and the defense. The court proceedings have included testimonies from victims, expert witnesses, and law enforcement officials who have provided detailed accounts of the investigation and the impact of Foster's actions. Statements from legal representatives have highlighted the severity of the charges. Prosecutors have emphasized the traumatic nature of Foster's crimes and the need for a strong legal response to ensure justice for the victims. They have argued for severe penalties reflecting the seriousness of the offenses and the impact on the community. Defense attorneys, on the other hand, have focused on challenging the evidence and the legal procedures, aiming to mitigate the charges against Foster. They have argued for a fair trial and have sought to present any evidence that might reduce the severity of the penalties. Authorities have underscored the significance of the case, noting the extensive efforts made by law enforcement to ensure a thorough and fair legal process. They have expressed a commitment to upholding justice and supporting the victims throughout the trial. The legal proceedings continue as the court works towards a resolution, aiming to hold Foster accountable for his actions and provide a measure of justice for those affected. The reactions from the victims and their families have been deeply affected by the traumatic events surrounding Benjamin Foster's crimes. For the survivors, the process of coming to terms with what happened has been challenging. Many have spoken about the ongoing psychological impact, including anxiety, depression, and a profound sense of violation. Support from counseling services and victim advocacy groups has been crucial in helping them navigate the aftermath. Families of the victims have also been deeply impacted. They have expressed their anguish and frustration, advocating for justice and support for their loved ones. The emotional toll on these families has been significant as they cope with the trauma experienced by their relatives and seek to support their healing process. The local community in Grants Pass has shown a mix of relief and concern. Residents were initially shaken by the scale and nature of the crimes, which highlighted vulnerabilities in their previously perceived safe environment. The arrest of Benjamin Foster brought a sense of relief, but the lasting effects of the case have prompted a heightened awareness of personal safety and community vigilance. Media coverage of the case was extensive, reflecting the public's interest and concern. News outlets provided detailed reports on the investigation, the manhunt, and the legal proceedings. Coverage included interviews with law enforcement officials, legal experts, and members of the community. This coverage played a significant role in keeping the public informed and engaged with the case. The long-term effects on community safety have been notable. The case has prompted discussions about the effectiveness of local law enforcement and the need for improved safety measures. Community organizations have increased efforts to educate residents about personal safety and support systems for victims of crime. Additionally, the case has highlighted the importance of community cooperation with law enforcement to prevent and respond to similar incidents in the future. Overall, while the resolution of the case has provided some measure of closure, the impact on the victims, their families, and the community continues to be felt. The case serves as a reminder of the ongoing need for vigilance and support in addressing and preventing violent crimes. In summary, the case of Benjamin Foster has been a deeply unsettling chapter for Grants Pass, Oregon. Foster, who was arrested in January 2023, faced serious charges including multiple counts of rape, kidnapping, and assault. His crimes involved a calculated approach using threats and violence to control and terrorize his victims. The subsequent investigation and manhunt were extensive, involving local, state, and federal agencies, which ultimately led to his capture. The impact on the victims and their families has been profound, with ongoing psychological and emotional effects. The community has been left to grapple with a heightened awareness of personal safety and the reality of such crimes in their area. Media coverage of the case underscored the severity of the situation and the efforts of law enforcement, while also reflecting public concern. The broader implications of this case highlight the critical need for vigilance and robust support systems for both victims and communities. It underscores the importance of effective law enforcement responses and the value of community awareness in preventing and addressing violent crimes. As we reflect on this case, it's essential to remain vigilant and proactive about personal safety. Engaging with local safety initiatives, supporting victims' rights, and staying informed can all contribute to a safer community. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe for more updates. If you found this story insightful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you detailed and important content. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates.